Yesterday, I had a thought about what people would say no publicity is bad, and I wanted to share a story as regards this. This happened in, I think, 2010 when South Africa was hosting the World Cup. My mom used to have this like restaurant and bar in Agbo then. It was a very remote town in Agbo, but it had like these workers, the expatriates there, and he had a company housing area there. They were doing this Ajakuta rail line to they're connecting it to Kogi and down to Alaja area in Delta State. In this bar, because I love football, I convinced my mom to pay for the subscription of like the decoder. Then it was DSTV didn't had the right. It was ITV that had the right of showing football. So we switched from DSTV and I convinced her to pay it in ITV, which she did, and we started watching the football. And most times we watched the football so it had like this arena where people could eat and sit, and it was properly arranged. There were nice chairs, tables. The floor was covered in palm kernel shell, and it was neat and really fine. There were trees around, very cool. I even had like a camp sling across the one tree and a wood where I could just go in and sleep there and just be slinging along while I was sleeping. And it was really a fantastic experience. I could remember now. I would want that again though. And I remember then when the football was going on, a lot of staffs would come in. The Nigerian workers would come in and be watching football. Even though it was not an interesting game, they would still be watching maybe Switzerland playing, maybe Croatia, maybe one little country and the other playing each other. They would still come and watch. And we had like this, then he had a German expatriate base, which was mostly, they were mostly interested in the German match. But what I also noticed was along the line, while people were coming to watch the football, the Germans were also coming out to see why people were there. Even though it wasn't their national game, they were also coming out to also see why people were gathering there and why people were watching this football. And there was a day my mom got tired of, I think she was a bit frustrated because sales was not meeting up. And she told us and the staff, she said, because I kind of work in her absence as like managing everybody and the situation. And she told us then that she doesn't want these people sitting when they are not buying anything. Mind you, the blacks that were working there were mostly like, they were helpers. The Nigerians, I won't say black. The Nigerians that were working, they were like helpers in the company. They were not like the high-end professionals in quotes that were like the expatriates. They were mostly helpers who were either drivers, cleaners, either people also moving tools and making sure that things get to the right direction. And they really could not afford buying a lot of things, but one thing I knew is that they were always around, and I liked them. I like having them around. We were always discussing about football. I met military guys who were friends, who became friends with me through that avenue, and it was a fantastic time. We were all enjoying the football. Some of them are even still on my Facebook page. They will probably see this video if I eventually post it. So I noticed something. When they come around, a lot of them, they would sit, they won't probably buy anything, but the place was always full. And my mom was like, how is this place always full when we are not making sales? How do we turn these people that are always coming here to making sales? And most times she would tell us, if they don't buy anything, tell them they have to leave. It's not that she wasn't a nice person. She was, but she was also concerned about her business growing. And how I knew she was a nice person is because she couldn't stomach the fact that she would need to go and tell them to leave, right? Which I know that my mom is a very bold and courageous person, right? She couldn't stomach that fact, so she would delegate that task to somebody else to be the bad guy, to go and tell them, if you're not buying anything, you need to leave, or because we need to create space for people that are buying things. So this went on for a long time during the tournaments. People were coming in, people were going out. But one thing I noticed is at the end of the day, when there was any football and those people came around, our sales increased. Our sales increased not because these people that were watching the football were buying in the real sense. Our sales increased because the people that were watching the football was bringing enough attention to the place that those expatriates and those other guys that would probably want to go to their house to watch this game, right? Now, in their mind, they will be like, what is happening there? Let me go to this place. Let me see what's happening there. And they go there and they see people watching football, and they will join in and they watch, and they will probably at the end of the day buy a thing or two, either buy suya, buy a drink, and even buy for some of those guys, because some of them will probably be their staffs that were working with them, and they will have a nice conversation. Even when the game finished, people will still be there for 2-3 hours, and it was going on like this over the time. But what I understood from that scenario was that, and it took time for me to get it, is that no publicity actually in life is bad publicity. It just depends on the area you're looking at it. Mind you, the low earners actually were also buying stuffs, but they were not buying as much as the expatriates would. They were probably buying like minerals, Fantas, and that's not what in my mom's idea would want to sell. That's not what will make it for her. But if you look at another side, is what if she had actually just switched and said, oh, I'm going to be selling more minerals also at the end of the day. I'm going to also be making more money at the end of the day. And this was something I could not explain to her then. But it took me time to now realize that the more people were coming, the more we were making sales. And the people that were coming were the people that were making those sales happen was those people that were coming and buying nothing. They were just there making the whole place loud noise, that even if you were driving by, you would hear them. And it's generally like that, because I remember there was a time I went on holiday last year in December, and I noticed something. There was a pub along the way that was empty, and there was also another pub that people were standing and security were checking people in. And what I noticed was I was drawn to the one where people were standing and security was checking them in. And most times it happened like that in almost all clubs. You'll notice that you are trying to get into a club and you see people standing and securities are checking them in, and you find out that a lot more people are standing on the line than the people inside the club. And those people standing on the line and trying to get checked in probably will be those people that will see and say, there is a lot of things happening there, that place is bubbly, let's go in. Most times you might not have intention of going there, but because you see people gathered there and trying to get in, you will want to go in. And that also brings more people coming into the place. And I think for me, that's what I kind of learned recently, that no publicity in life is actually a bad publicity. We just need to be able to, should I say, fine-tune it to be able to get the desired results. And for my mom, I actually wish I had the opportunity of letting her get this information, that no publicity is actually bad publicity. It was nice sharing this with you guys. And if you do enjoy this story and you learned a thing or two from it, let me know. Probably I will share another one, and leave your comments on what you learned from this story. And would she have just diversified her business and say, okay, now I want to be selling something that these people on the lower end can afford, and so that when they come to watch football, they'll probably be able to buy and she'll also make money? Do you think that would have been a good idea for her to run? By the way, we don't have that restaurant and lounge again. So the place was leased and the contract finished and we let it go. So that was it. And thank you for listening to my story. And I do hope that you learned a thing or two from it.